have 10 or 15 minutes, and my first question is, can you tell me what playback theater is?
Playback theater is somehow getting back to the old type of theater, because before Shakespeare there was a theater with some community act, and now the present theater after Shakespeare, it's called some kind of a scripted theater. Mm-hmm. People in the audience and the actors are somehow divided, and there is no real communication between them. And Jonathan Fox, who is inventor of this theater, went back to this before Shakespeare period, and somehow he wanted to renew this theater in which the members of the community doing the theater. So playback theater is an interactive and improvisation theater in which the so-called conductor asks stories from the audience members, and the members of the company immediately place these stories on the stage by improvisation. This is basically the playback theater.
So can you tell me if a playback theater is first theater, then psychology, or vice versa? First psychology, then theater. How do you think?
First, so it's not first and second. So I think the good playback theater has two phases. One is art. So because we are close to arts, we are using techniques from art, theater art. And the second part is very important, social interaction, because we are playing the stories of the community. So it's very much social, interactive, and build a community around a company. And the third part is a ritual, you know. So we do it in a ritualistic way. So these three parts of the theater is important for us.
Okay, for whom, firstly, it is better to become an actor in playback theater? What person should it be? How do you think?
So everybody can be an actor in the playback theater. So we advertise playback theater for every playback theater training for everybody. But of course there are people who are most fitting into playback theater, who are paying attention to each other, who has some kind of artistic knowledge, who are very much interested in themselves. So because the stories about ourselves, about our personal life, about our inside life, who are interested in this territory, these are very good people for playback theater.
So who will be interested in coming inside playback theater? How do you describe the person who might be interested to play?
To play? That's what I said.
The person interested in himself?
Interested in himself, interested in other people, and has some kind of artistic tendency. So these people are good.
Okay. Can you name some specific features maybe of Russian playback groups, if you can?
Yes.
Or Russian playback theater?
It's interesting because in the beginning of this year I've been in Cuba. Okay. And so right after I was here in Russia, and I saw a lot of companies here, and I went to Cuba. And so, for instance, the first characteristic of Russian play, it's too intellectual. So, you know, perhaps the Russian soul is very intellectual, very deep and intellectual, but in comparison with Cuban, so Cuban people immediately began to sing and drum and move on the stage. So they are not so intellectual, but more playful and singing. So yesterday I said to the group that in Cuba people are talking to each other in singing. So it's completely different. So and now I think I say to Russian companies to be more playful, more using the body, using more the thinking and not too much intellect. Intellect is very good, but you know, somehow I feel now in the world that people are a little bit fed up with intellect, because of course one part is very nice, but you know, by intellect we build a beautiful thing. By these things we destroyed the world. So getting closer to feeling, that is the offer of playback theater, getting closer to inner feelings and playing. So that is what playback theater is doing.
Okay, and why do you think the person who might come in theater as a teller, as a person who brings his story? Why people bring their stories?
You know, because everybody needs to share experiences. Nowadays I feel in the world, I don't know how is it in Russia, but in Hungary, that people are alone. And so they have nowhere and no one to tell stories, and it's a great need to share our experiences, because if we share experiences, somehow we get rid of, if it's a bad experience, if a good experience, we share the benefit of our life. So we have a deep need for sharing our experiences and telling your stories.
And how playback theater can bring the person to therapy of his soul. When a person brings his personal story, then after telling and watching people play the story, where comes the effect of therapy?
It's you know, if you don't feel alone, and if you have a feeling of being similar to other people, it's a therapy itself. You know, if you are not sharing story in the playback theater, just sitting in the audience, but somebody goes there to the teller's chair and tell a story, and you feel, oh, this can be my story. You immediately feel that you are not alone in this world. You have friends. You have they are people who are similar to you. So it's not a direct therapy. You know, the community is a therapy itself. So there are such investigations. If you are belonging to different communities, you are more healthy. So playback theater can offer you a community where you can go regularly and can share stories, can listen to other people's stories, and can have friends there.
So do you have